Hi, this is Jenny with the Forest Daisy. I have another round of patriotic and 4th of July DIYs. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more crafting and home decor projects. I painted 3 of these wooden star ornaments that I purchased from Amazon, one red, one white, and one blue, and I used apple barrel paints from Walmart. I painted the front, back, and sides, and then I took a piece of wood and made a stain by mixing a bit of water with brown paint and applied it around the whole piece. I somehow lost the footage, but I cut out vinyl and put USA across the stars, and then distressed them with sandpaper 1776 across the wood block. And then I used Dollar Tree Jenga blocks on the back of the stars and glued the stars across the top. And then I realized that I should have filled in the holes in the stars, and I didn't have wood filler, so I substituted wood glue and then painted over that. And then to finish the project, I took off some of this tinsel from a Dollar Tree wreath, and then I glued that around the whole top of the wood around the stars. And then I also remembered to paint the Jenga blocks on the back so that they blended in. The Dollar Tree tinsel wreath was cute, but I wanted to use the base for a mesh wreath instead, so I removed the tinsel that was wrapped on it, and I cut the pieces of plastic that were sticking out. I had an assortment of the small rolls of Dollar Tree mesh. I think the ones with silver were from the holiday season, but they should have plain white, or I have seen red, white, and blue stripes around this time of year. I created mesh bundles by unrolling the mesh across my cutting mat, and then I cut 8-inch pieces with my rotary cutter. I used 3 pieces of mesh for each bundle, and to fill the frame, I needed 20 in total. The mesh pieces sort of curl up on one side, and I have that side facing up, and then roll it over a few times to the other side, which makes it look like a tube shape. Then I pinch the middle together with my fingers. I grabbed another piece of mesh and did that same method, and then I placed it on top of the first one, going in the opposite direction. And then for the third piece, I add that and put it at another angle and then tie it together with a pipe cleaner. And then I kind of fluff up the pieces of mesh. I used 3 different colors for the bundles, and I alternated the order that they were in, but feel free to do any combination that you like. The frame has vertical pieces that run in between each section, and that is where I attached the bundles of mesh to it. I push the ends of the pipe cleaner through, and I twist that together a few times at the back. And then when the star was completely filled in with the bundles, I went around and adjusted the mesh to fluff up the wreath to make it look fuller. And then any pieces that frayed, I just snipped those off. And then I wanted to use some pieces of that tinsel, so I cut 10-inch strips and I poked those up through the bottom of the wreath so that it would come up in between the mesh bundles. And there is a small wire inside, so I was able to just twist those around a few times and keep it secure that way. And I added a piece of tinsel at each of the outer and inner points of the star so that it kind of resembled a firework. I came across this patriotic themed door hanger at Goodwill. The welcome sign was barely hanging on and it was missing some of the stars, so I decided to give it a refresh. I removed the sign and used my heat gun to try to loosen up the glue under the star stickers, but I found that using a paint scraper tool helped me get underneath them and pop those off. It left residue on the painted wood, so I sanded the sign a bit to even that out. I did like how it was painted before, so I added a fresh coat of blue paint on the heart and then repainted the letters and the star welcome sign. But I also had to remove more of the star stickers first. And then I added the red stripes onto the white letters and then added white dots onto the red letters. I also sanded along the edges of both pieces to make it a bit weathered. I applied wood glue on the back of the welcome sign and then lined up where the small nails were originally in the heart, and I pushed the sign back in place. I made firecracker shelf setters with 3 pieces of 2x4 wood that were all different heights. I painted a base layer of red, white, and then blue, and I cut pieces of jute rope and hot glued those on top of each piece of wood for the firecracker fuses. Then I decided that I didn't want to just leave them plain, so I brushed the other 2 colors of paint around each firecracker, but the colors started blending together and creating pink and purple, and it was a bit much, so I did add the base color back over each firecracker, which allowed those other colors to still show through a bit but be muted. There are many different ways that you can decorate these, and then they can be displayed separately or even tied together in a bundle. I got a pack of these 5x5 wood panel boards from Amazon. They come unfinished, but I had already stained a few of them before this project. I also had a patriotic themed paper pack and picked a sheet that had different images in it, and I cut a couple of those out to fit inside of the signs. I applied a layer of Mod Podge inside each of them and pressed the paper down. I also used a popsicle stick to help press down and smooth out the paper's edges that I couldn't quite reach with my fingers. I used another one of those stained wood panel boards, but I used a different piece of paper that was just a pattern instead of words for this one. And then I took 3 Dollar Tree Jenga blocks and painted one blue, white, and the other one red. Then I applied E6000 and hot glue on the backs of the Jenga blocks, and then I put those in the sign, but had them angled in different directions. And I used jute rope or jute string for the firecracker fuses, and they were a little bit too long, so I did trim those down. And then I had some stickers that were also in that paper pack, and I added one onto each of the firecrackers.